one, go.
Welcome to the Fourth Line Podcast, part of Full Press Radio. With you today is myself, Carl, and Stevie Nick. It is October 27th, and he also said go.
And you just like froze up on my computer, so everything's going perfectly so far. I like keeping you on your toes, Carl.
You do. You know what? It's great. I'm glad that somebody is.
Oh, we have fun, don't we?
We do. Welcome to episode 301.
Yeah. When do we like stop counting, or we count in just like the hundreds?
I think just in the hundreds.
Like,
there's nothing to celebrate about the 301st, but do you just want to check? I know that list will have changed, people who have 301 goals, because Jamie Benn's not on it.
Jamie Benn's not on it. I think, if I remember correctly, and I'm going to need a minute to pull it back up, but if I remember correctly, like 4 players would have dropped off that list.
There was a bunch of them, but he was the only active 300er.
Yes.
So
yeah,
sorry, Jamie.
The NHL stats site is garbage.
Yes, because that's why you don't use it.
How else do you look up all time?
I think Hockey Reference still has those.
It also tries to sort. When you hit the sort button, it goes from lowest first, which
I think everyone wants to know who is tied for the least goals in NHL history.
There's a bunch of people with 0.
I was going to say, isn't that what we all want? Who has never done it? Let's start there.
Oh, there's a lot. I'm already way past that page. You're doing a real good job of burning this time right now while I pull this up. Well, and
did you find it, or do I need to?
I did. It's right here.
Okay.
Carl, only one player drops off this list.
And it's Jamie Benn. Wow.
He can rejoin us next year when we're on episode like 3. Who knows when it'll be back? 350 episodes.
It's now a race, right? Because it's going to be a shortened season, and we're going to have all this time. I bet Jamie Benn doesn't catch us.
This is something we're going to have to keep an eye on throughout the next NHL season.
This is going to keep me glued to Dallas Stars games. I'm furious every time he scores now. Here's what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to draft him on my fantasy team just to counterbalance that. So, like, if he does score, at least it helps me there.
And only goals count too, which is in your favor. Yeah,
exactly. He can set up Tyler Seguin and Alex Radulov as much as he wants, but do not score Jamie.
So we just got to stay ahead. We might have to start doing 2 episodes a week.
Every week where he scores more than 1 goal, we do a bonus episode.
Can't wait for those hat trick weeks.
It's going to be, and we only have on, it's just an episode with Dallas Stars guests.
Yeah.
We'll just have on a Dallas Stars reporter every week that he scores more than 1 goal.
We're just going to become a Dallas Stars podcast at that point. Like, there's nothing we're going to be able to do about that. That's
how it happens, I guess. It's a slippery slope.
And then we can change the name of the podcast to Shooting Stars, and we're all set. Boom.
You know what? We never really did a whole lot with waynesdryrub.com. I should change the domain of waynesdryrub.com to shootingstarspodcast.com. Just get on that.
And can we do a really bad 90s animation, like web animation across the banner?
I think it has to be. It's essentially going to be that, like, NBC The More You Know.
That's exactly what I'm picturing. Yes.
Yeah, that. But we do a bad Photoshop of it.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, Carl, I'm real bad at Photoshop. So
I don't even Photoshop. I exclusively use Microsoft Paint. So
not bad.
It's and that doesn't even work for video. So it's going to be stop motion animation.
Frame by frame.
Exactly. It's going to be rough, but hey, we're going to do it. Welcome back, everyone. We'll probably, until Jamie Benn starts scoring, we don't care anymore what episode we're on. It was a lot of fun last week celebrating 300. Thanks for everyone sharing their thoughts on that. On the
it was great to have Joel back for a bit.
Yeah, it was great to have Joel back on. I will mention this because I assume that they'll not listen and not know this, but another former co-host was clamoring to be like, hey, how come Joel got back on, but I didn't? So
whoa.
We'll have to see we'll have to see what kind of strings we can pull there. Maybe, I mean, the anniversary episode is like next week or 2 weeks from now. So who knows what's going to happen.
There you go. The birthday epi.
Just celebrate all kinds of things. Who knows? Welcome to the show. This week, we're going to talk about not a whole lot, because there's not a whole lot that happened in the NHL since we were last year. We've got a couple signings, a little bit of news around some things that the NHL postponed, but we've got a new segment. So that's what's going to be taking up our show this week. We've got a thing we're going to be talking about shortly, but let's get to the news, shall we, Nick?
Let's do it. Yeah.
All right. Do you want to start with, we can start with some Red Wings news, since you're wearing the Red Wings sweater. You're not wearing your T-shirts Christmas sweater anymore.
No, but it's so hot in my house right now. I'm considering going to make the change.
Is it nice there in Toronto?
Not really. It's just very warm in this particular room in my house right now. And before we started, I went to turn the heat down, and it was not that hot in the rest of the house. So I don't know what's going on in here.
So your wife and child are going to be freezing now, but you'll be comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
The sacrifices need to be made for a good podcast.
I have no defense for that. Yeah.
No need. All right. Tyler Bertuzzi, 1 year, $3.5 million. You said that's an arbitration?
That was an arbitration deal. Yeah. Which is pretty fair. I think the team went in just over 4. Sorry. He went in just over 4. The team came in just over 3. I think the team went in at 3.2 and they settled at 3.5.
I wish, and I've seen all these arbitration numbers coming in, and they look ridiculous. Like, you're seeing teams, like the players asking for twice as much as what the team's asking for. And the way that it works, and correct me if I'm wrong, the way that it works is the arbitrator they both make their cases. So like the team's like, this is why this player's terrible and they don't deserve this much. And the player's like, no, I'm really good. I deserve this much. And then the arbitrator just like picks a number somewhere between the two of them.
I assume these arbitrators, I'm not familiar with the details of this process. It sounds very familiar and formal and legal and stuff, but they must have to know something about how to evaluate a player and assign value to them for professional hockey, right?
Someone should hire those arbitrators as GMs or agents.
Right? They seem to know what every player's worth.
Yeah, they're like, no, you're not worth over 4 million, Tyler. You're more like 3.5.
Do you think they're on Hockey Reference checking Corsi numbers?
they're using who's it who does this, the Twins, right? Evolving Wild. They
Evolving
do theirs.
Wild.
Yeah. So they're just on there. They're like, tweet at them at Evolving Wild. What is Tyler Bertuzzi worth? And that's the number. It's super weird.
What does XGF mean?
Exactly. I would rather the arbitration system. I would care a lot more about it. And in a world where we have nothing to care about in the hockey offseason right now, I would like it more if the arbitrator had to pick one of the two numbers.
That's kind of interesting. Force them to take a side.
Exactly. And then you'd have less ridiculous, then you'd actually come in at a more normal number.
I wonder if it's a rule that they can't award the player anything outside of that range, right? Like, it can't be lower than what the team said and it can't be higher than what the player said.
Yeah, that seems right.
It has to come somewhere in the middle there. So it would be neat to make them pick a side.
Yeah.
Sportsnet could make a show out of that and give us some content.
Absolutely, right? Do it Dragon's Den style. Just have the other GMs in the division are the ones who pick. I don't know. There's a way we can make it good. Or it's just Brian Burke up there. Because if you want Sportsnet doing it, it's going to be Brian Burke, and it's going to be every player from Alberta is getting a bunch of money.
They need like a statistician, like a mathematician who has nothing to do with hockey. They need some sort of professional, hockey professional, like a Brian Burke type. And Brian Burke would be great because he's extra fiery and he's got the crazy hair. And they need like a coach or, a trainer or someone who's down at the tactical level.
Or like a former player.
Or a former player. That would be great.
Yeah. I'm in. Let's do it.
I'd watch that show.
why not? Right? You do a couple players a night. It's on all week because there's literally not the world. I have the World Series on my TV right now. When it ends tonight or tomorrow, all I've got left is football. I've got 3 nights of vacancy in my sports life, Nick.
Yeah, the live sports dried up real quick this year.
It's not, I don't know what to do.
They came all at once, and they're almost all gone now.
Yeah, we've got some football. I saw the Masters is I might have to care about the Masters, Nick.
Oh no!
Like I might have to watch Friday at the Masters.
Oh no!
I don't tune in until Sunday. Let's be honest. at best, I'm tuning in on Sunday.
Okay, so what's our arbitration show for Sportsnet called?
I thought of some sort of a pun on Arbitrashow, but that seemed like a stretch.
No, it's not. Not for Sportsnet and the NHL. The Hockey Arbitrashow. Dun-dun-dun. And when they award the final arbitration number, the player has to be like standing there in front of the 3 people and with his hands behind his back, just kind of listening to them all give their comments on him as a player.
Like Dragon's Den.
Yeah, it would be so amazingly awkward.
I get because he would get to make his case first, right? He makes his plea.
Yep.
Or do they not even get it? Like you just show up and they just decide for you how much you're worth.
No, I mean, I think there's a little bit of pre-reading that needs to be done, but like for the sake of the content, they have to have a segment, 5 minutes tops, where the player talks and then the GM talks, and they're both there listening to the other talking and making their case for what their contract number should be. And then the panel of arbitrators has to come up with a final number.
I have a better idea.
Okay.
It's so much better of an idea.
Okay.
Because we have no hockey content in the summer. I mean, we've seen the what do they call Battle of the Blades? The figure skating show.
Yeah.
And they'll shove some hockey players on there and we'll see how good they are at figure skating. We do that. It's like Survivor style hockey players. So you shove them there, they do some drills, they have to do some things, and they just keep getting voted out. And whoever lasts the longest gets the highest salary.
That's great. Make them play for it.
Exactly. Right. You want to do it? Here's your drill for this week. You've got to build an obstacle course and go through it with your hockey gear on. But you keep falling on the ice? Must not be good at hockey.
That's so great. Make them bag skate for their contracts. But I scored 20 goals last year. You got to prove yourself right now, though.
That is one of the most hockey of ways to do it.
It totally would be.
What? Practice isn't good for you? Well, sorry. Like I know that the skills competition means literally nothing, but now it's going to be everything.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's how you add excitement to this process.
Let's do it. Your goalie can't score an empty netter? Sorry, you lose $500,000 on your next deal.
Not just an empty netter, but he has to do the trick shot from like up in the stands. Just for why am I doing this? No reason.
Yeah. Because you have to. That's the rule. Sorry, we don't make the rules. Sportsnet did.
And Sportsnet would do that too.
All right. Well, yeah. All right. There we go. We've got the Arbitrashow.
The Arbitrashow.
Which is also great because we just named this episode. So
hey, that's great for the single arbitration case that we're going to talk about.
For the one. Because, I mean, the next deal that I'm looking at, Devon Toews signed a deal with the Avalanche today. 4 years, $4.1 million, looking like approximately what it would have cost for them to not have traded for him, but just to have got him to sign an offer sheet with the team. That would be what they gave the Islanders to get him, ended up being the same. So the real thing that's disappointing is that we could have had an offer sheet, Nick, but we didn't.
I mean, it's going to be a long, long off season. We may still get one.
Do we... You know what? Maybe there's an offer sheet show coming too.
Oh boy, man. You know what? I think let's save it for another week because Sportsnet's going to owe us a lot of money if we give them all of this all up front.
You know what? If this show is suddenly going like full dangle and being on Sportsnet, you know why now? That's our negotiating ploy. Sorry, we don't. That's what we wanted, and that's what we got. So
there we go. This is a good deal for your Avs, though, right?
Great deal. Devon Toews is an amazing defenseman for $4.1 million, and on most lists of like underrated defenders, he's at the top of that list, and this deal shows it, right? Like he could have gone to arbitration. I believe they'd filed numbers. Well, they would have had to. So, and they avoided arbitration, got him done at an amazing deal. The Avalanche, if you look at their defense now, obviously it's skewed because you've got the cheap deal of Cale Makar, but looking at this, Ryan Graves, they also signed him to a deal this week. 3 years, $3.2 million. You've got him in there. You've got Toews at 4.1. You've got Sam Girard at 5, Eric Johnson at 6, and Ian Cole at 4.25. Then Cale Makar at rookie salary. Bowen Byram's going to be a rookie salary. Defense is amazing and affordable.
That's a solid decor, man. This team's going to be very competitive next year.
I'm very much trying to curb my enthusiasm.
This decor should be able to keep Jamie Benn's goal tally pretty low.
And you know what? I think that's what we need, right? I'm sad that Alex Pietrangelo has left the division now. This division got worse defensively when he left. Luckily, we added Toews. We've got the Blackhawks. They're starting Malcolm Subban in net.
Oh,
downgrading from Robin Lehner. That's only going to help him. He's going to be feasting off the Blackhawks.
Yeah, and nobody wants 3 episodes of the show per week, so the Central Division better figure it out.
Or what? The Southwest Division? What are we going to call that?
Or whatever it ends up being.
Whatever this division ends up, right? I mean, there might be some trash teams in there if they start, maybe they'll add some of those California teams in. If he's
like they might even add the Red Wings and Blue Jackets in.
They'll have a Canada division, but make Winnipeg play in the Southeast again. I'm sorry, Winnipeg. That's how it goes. So we got those deals happening this week. Jake Virtanen, he got a deal with the Canucks, signing his extension. Someone who was a much beloved piece there. 2 years, $2.5 million. Very much a prove it bridge deal there.
Which makes sense for a player like him, and what the kind of climate is around contracts and the salary cap right now. I don't know. I think it's a fair deal for both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. One deal that surprised me, and if you haven't seen the number yet, do not look at your screen.
Okay.
I want you to predict 2 numbers for me. How much do you think Sam Reinhart would get on a 1-year UFA deal?
I have no idea. Sam Reinhart? What team did he even play for last year?
The Buffalo Sabres.
Man, probably around this 2.5.
It's the same as the total value of this deal. Sam Reinhart got $5.2 million to stay with the Buffalo Sabres for 1 year.
$5 million for 1 year?
Yeah.
For Sam Reinhart. Okay.
Here's the next question, though. Over the last 3 years combined, how many goals do you think Sam Reinhart has scored?
28.
69 goals, Nick.
No way.
He's got 25, 22, 22. So he would have probably set his career high in goals this year. The year before that, 17, 23. So he's a a good goal scorer, which I think of him as not. And I've had to kind of skew that perspective because I expected him to be something when he came in, and he's slowly becoming that.
You kind of blew me away with that information. I was not expecting that about Sam Reinhart.
No. And you know what? I think if that on a 1-year deal to get 25 goals, that's a great price.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Buffalo Sabres should be competitive this year.
I mean, they're going to be in the Northeast Division, so they're going to have all those teams in there. It's going to be tough for them. There's a lot of good teams there. They no longer get to. I mean, they no longer have the Senators to be the bottom of the division. So
I'm sure businessman Kevin Adams knows what he's doing. Do
you think they ever hired that job you interviewed for? Do you know if they ever hired for it?
No, I think they just eliminated it. They only had one candidate.
It's unfortunate, Nick. It's tough. Connor Brown got a big deal. 3 years, 3.6 per.
Good for him.
Right.
I don't think he's worth $3.6 million a year, but he's a good guy. He plays hard.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Sure. On the flip side, there are RFAs out there getting like no money because their teams are strapped for cash. We got Travis Dermott, Nick. Less than $1 million for him.
Well, are we reversing roles here? No, we're not talking about that. It's supposed to be me who brings up the stupid Leaf signings and you who shoots them down.
That's fine. Sorry, Nick. I was on my list. I wrote it down. You said it. I wrote it down. That's on me.
I think Travis Dermott has good potential. And I think he's probably doing his team a favor by signing for under $1 million.
I think of it back to last year, Kevin LeBlanc with the Sharks signed like a shockingly low deal and then got paid this year. And this is what that reminds me of.
Yeah. I think the Leafs have really good internal hype. Like they've been able to get their players and their people within their organization to buy into the fact that like they have a legit shot at a Stanley Cup, which is a great thing. And it gives them a better shot at winning a Stanley Cup, I think. But what, this is, I think the result of that is some of these younger players are like, okay, I'll stick around here for a little less money and you go and get Joe Thornton and whoever, and we'll go and win a Stanley Cup.
And then if it doesn't work out, then they want to get paid.
And then you go get paid elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. The biggest, and I don't even know, we kind of touched on this before. The NHL Winter Classic, the All-Star Game for this coming season, both of them postponed, which I found to be an interesting wording. Not canceled, Nick, postponed. So they said the Winter Classic was supposed to be the Wild and the Blues in Minnesota. The All-Star Game was supposed to be in Florida. The Panthers were hosting this year. Winter Classic, as always, January 1st. All-Star Game was scheduled for January 29th and 30th. Both of them have been postponed. So in theory, they could happen. But here's what I find most interesting. So the person the NHL picked as their person to talk on it, he said, because of the uncertainty as to when we'll be able to welcome our fans back to our games, we felt the prudent decision at this time was to postpone these celebrations until 2022, when our fans should be able to enjoy and celebrate these tentpole events in person as they were always intended. We are also considering several new and creative events that will allow our fans to engage with our games and teams during this upcoming season.
Oh, hold on. Did I hear that correctly, that they've postponed it to 2022?
Yes. So Florida hosts the All-Star Game next year, like not this coming season, but the season after. The Wild will host the Winter Classic 2 years from now.
So they've just avoided using the word canceled, but they canceled the games for this year.
Well, yes, Nick. They're not happening.
Okay.
But they've been postponed for 18 months from now.
Right. We're just not going to have any in this coming NHL season.
It's like if someone was like, hey, do you want to go for coffee? And you're like, I'd love to. And then the date comes and you're like, you know what? Like, for whatever reason, can we move that coffee until next summer? Can we have coffee next summer? I'm not canceling on you. I'm postponing.
Just postponing. Yeah. What does your calendar look like in 12 months?
But the idea of several new and creative events for this coming season in a world where fans are not likely an option, what kind of things do you want them to do other than the Arbitrashow?
I don't know, man. This is a hard one because I don't think that anyone's going to find a interesting way to do virtual things. So I kind of wonder if they can get some of these arenas open to at least partial amounts of fans. I kind of wonder if they set up different kind of viewing areas around the cities or around the arenas that kind of follow regulations in terms of crowd sizes and social distancing. And, instead of having 40,000 people in one spot, you have 100 people here at this restaurant and 100 people in this theater and 100 people in this event space, and then whatever, 10,000 people in the arena.
I would look forward to how that works in Alberta. Just yesterday, they went to, you cannot have people more than 15 for a personal gathering. So I would like them to organize about 1,000 15-person gatherings around the city. Please do that. But
obviously it wouldn't work right now.
But I think that would be fun, right? To be able to have kind of that smaller environment where it's like tailgating, like because you don't want it to just be like go to a bar and have a chance to win a jersey. You can get that right now, right? I mean, maybe not right now, but like that's a thing that happens. So they need to find a way to spice it up, to do some things. And I agree. Just whatever you do, don't you dare show me that during the broadcast. I don't care. I don't want to watch fans doing anything anymore.
Carl, they're going to.
I don't want it.
Now let's check over to the Red Moose on 100th Avenue, and here's when the goal was scored, and watch everybody go wild.
Yeah, no thanks. Like, don't have a giant section in the arena. Don't have screens all around showing me the fans. Don't do it.
But how else will they thank the fans, Carl?
Play the game. That's enough. That's all I need.
The real question is, how is the NHL going to make money off of these things? Like that would be great for local businesses, what you and I just talked about. That'd be great for local bars and restaurants and theaters and whatever. But how is the NHL going to make money off of it?
I don't know. I think it's all them. They take things at, they get a small cut. The theater gets a cut. The fans are still paying regular ticket price. You want to pay $80 to go watch a hockey game in a theater with a bunch of other fans? Here you go. One idea that Mike Laybourne, he wrote an article for the website, and I think it's a great idea. He says that, and I think there's many ways you could do this. He thinks the NHL should start, if it's on New Year's, and we kind of touched on this before. I forget if it was me or you, but Lake Louise, have the game literally on the lake. Some others have suggested locations such as Rideau Canal have a game there, because you can't have fans, and it would give some really interesting opportunities for, you build the rink, you have some of those things, but even, you might not be able to get all the weight of an NHL camera crew on a lake as well, but the drone technology these days, things like that, booms, things, I think it would be a really interesting perspective to have some of those iconic locations in North America hosting NHL games.
That would be really cool.
Right? What that big rink we always see in New York by the big tree, play a game there.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. Or one year Molson did they built an ice rink on top of skyscrapers in Toronto.
That's right. Do that.
Do it on that. That would be cool. No fans though.
Well, and that's the thing, right? You don't have to worry about getting fans to these locations, any of those things. You just host it there.
Yeah.
And when they're looking at doing these things, especially since these are all going to be essentially made for TV events, something like that, where it's like, I want to see what it's like to play hot. Like, I mean, I don't know about you, probably not. I've gone and skated at Lake Louise. But like to play a professional hockey game there would be amazing.
That would be pretty cool. That would be very cool.
Yeah. Or, I'm in New York or on skyscrapers, wherever. Someone suggested, and I forget who it was. So, but like you could do it on an aircraft carrier. Just really push the technology for ice making. Do literally on the water. Why not?
Yes. NHL Ice techs are just sweating buckets right now.
Exactly.
Can you build an ice rink inside of this volcano?
Right? Why not? Let's go. Hawaii? Sure. Let's do it. All right, Nick, let's take a bit of a break, and we'll be back on the other side with our brand new segment. All right, Nick. This is a weird thing because I completely forgot until you mentioned it today. But it's time for our off-season segments.
They're back. It's kind of weird because we're having another off-season this year.
Yeah.
And the first one, we didn't really have a segment because we just didn't know what was going on.
We just kind of hoped and prayed that we wouldn't have to do something. But now we don't know how long it's going to last. So now we have an undefined length of segment. But
I do feel like the segment that we've come up with can have longevity if it needs to.
I think this is a thing that it could. I mean, this is going to be the Jamie Benn podcast. Is this right? Shooting Stars is just going to be this. I think. Don't get me. Maybe I'm wrong. Do you want to?
Well, let's. Yeah. So I'll tell them about it. So last year, we did a series on hockey history and really dove into different pieces of the NHL and hockey history. This year, last week when we were talking about NHL 300 goal scorers, I started going through the list, and Carl was really interested with this list, and he begged me to keep reading through it. When we came back from break, Joel was like, "Wow, I can't believe you just did a list. That was amazing. You should do more lists." And I'm pretty sure all the listeners were like, we don't just listen to your podcast, we listen to it. So
you can't spell listener without list, Nick.
So this is our new segment, the summer top 10 lists, because the off season normally happens in the summer. And we're just going to do top 10 lists every week. Some, very simple things. Some could be more crazy. We don't know what they're going to be yet.
And one thing that I think is great. I mean, this opens up a world of possibilities. But if you have a top 10 list, if you have a thing that you want to know, our top 10 blank, let us know. Right?
Absolutely. We'll show up next Monday with our top 10 blanks.
Right. We'll figure out. Blank check is probably my number one blank.
I think that's the whole list, though, isn't it?
Blank
spaces.
Blank space is a pretty good Taylor Swift song.
Yeah.
So
that's definitely top 2.
Arthur Blank, owner of the Atlanta Falcons, lower on the list.
Blank it's.
I
like to stay warm.
Look, I know we had a list for this week, but I think we just found our list.
I'm running out of blank ideas.
You blanked.
I blanked.
All right. So our top 10 list for this sense, we are pretending in our heads for the sake of the top 10, the summer top 10 lists, right? That's the name of it.
Summer top 10 lists. They're not all going to have to do with summer, but we're going to pretend it's summer.
I think though, I imagine in my head, like some sort of like luau music. It says summer top 10 lists. I can hear like brats grilling in the background.
It has to be a little tropical, I think.
Yeah. So that's what, look, I've got on my desk here, Nick, an Island Margarita candle. I should light this every time we do it.
Every time we fire up the segment, you fire up that candle. Maybe one day we'll do our top 10 scented candle scents.
You know what? There's a lot of great ones out there. All right. So what is our top 10 list for this week?
Well, to kick it off and to honor the summertime that is no more, we are going to do the top 10 NHL markets that are summer all year round.
All right. My lighter is no longer working, so I've got a problem there, Nick. Anyways, so top 10 lists that are of locations in the NHL that are summer all year round. So what do we, so that eliminates all Canadian locations.
Absolutely. If there's a place in Canada that's summer all year long, I want to know because I want to be there.
I would say like the Okanagan is probably the closest you're going to get. And even that isn't.
No, it's not fully winter, but it's definitely not summer.
No. All right. So what are we looking at for cities? Because we've got, I think there's 31 teams. A bunch of them share. So we got California.
Yeah. So we've got LA. Florida. We've got San Jose. We've got, who's the other team out there? Anaheim, right?
Yep.
In Florida, we've got the Panthers. We've got Tampa. Oh, by the way, congratulations to Tampa Bay Lightning for winning the Stanley Cup this year. I just wanted to make sure we didn't forget that.
Did you forget to talk about that again?
We've got Dallas. I believe it's summer year-round in Texas.
Yep, Dallas. Arizona. Yep. Did you also say San Jose?
I said San Jose. What about Carolina? Is it summer year-round in Carolina?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Carolina.
Okay. So far we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Vegas.
6, 7, 8.
Vegas at summer year-round.
Vegas.
Did our top 10 list start with a thing that can't even get to 10?
Is there only 9? No, come on. There's got to be one more.
I only have 7 written down right now. So
okay, Los Angeles, San Jose, Anaheim, Florida, Tampa, Dallas, Arizona, Carolina, Vegas.
I forgot Florida and Tampa. I don't know.
The whole state?
Yeah. What are we going to do? We need a
what about St. Louis? Is St. Louis summer all year round?
I don't think so.
Chicago's definitely not.
Chicago's definitely not. Minnesota's Nashville.
Oh yeah, Nashville.
There we go.
I'm not convinced that St. Louis isn't.
St. Louis, represent. Tell us. We're known to be bad at geography. Are we also bad at weather? Probably. All right, there's our 10. So now we need to rank these.
Now we need to rank these. There is no specific criteria. Oh, it definitely gets to be winter in St. Louis.
Okay.
Holy moly, that's a crazy winter. Okay, sorry. I shouldn't have Googled that right this second. Okay.
Please, Nick, show us all that picture that you were looking at. Do you want to share with the class?
One day, this will be a video medium when the technology arrives.
I mean, yeah, there's definitely no way that we're recording video of this podcast every week. So,
or that it can be dispersed in any way. Okay, so considering there is 0 criteria for this, Carl, let's start from 10 and go up to number 1.
All right. So if we're ranking those top 10 cities, I'm going to go with, I think Dallas is number 10.
Really?
Not just because of like attractions and things to do, but also as an anti-Jamie Benn sentiment.
Okay, fair. Counterpoint, Arizona.
They were going to be number 9 for me.
This team has been in the league for what, 10 years?
Yeah.
They've had
longer.
They've had
way longer than 10 years.
Wasn't it like, oh yeah. My math is very bad.
It was not 2010.
In my head, I was thinking 99. Man, 2020 just done a number on me. Okay. So 20 years, let's say, they've had little to no success, like very few playoff appearances. One, I think, Western Conference final appearance. They continue to struggle to put butts in seats. They've had multiple ownership changes. They have the greatest hockey villain, Gary Bettman, standing up for them all the time. there's been some recent bad news about the Arizona Coyotes and certain draft picks that has really bumped them further down my list. I've got Arizona at 10.
I can get behind that. You sold me with that last point. They made some real poor choices with that one.
Very poor choices.
But can we agree Dallas is number 9 then?
Can we agree Dallas is number 9? Okay, yeah. Because you know what? Jamie Benn, I'm not going to make you beep anything out. You guys fill in your heads what I was going to say.
Okay. All right. There we go. All right. So now we've got some East Coast, some West Coast. I don't know where you stand in the East Coast, West Coast rivalry.
I'm more of an East Coast kind of guy.
An East Coast. Okay. Here's my take on it. I think that the California teams all need to be together in their rankings. And I have an order that I particularly think. Do we think California slots in at 7, 8 or 5, 6, 7? Nope. 6, 7, 8.
Well, I don't know. I think Carolina's should slide in at 8.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. I know nothing about that area. I know nothing about that market.
Here's what
the team's good. They've had some success. They've won Stanley Cup. They've won a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
The team's very good right now. They're fun to watch. They have fun. We like their storm surges. Maybe I'm talking myself out of that. Maybe they should be higher on the list.
I mean, I've never been to Carolina, either of them, north or south. I've heard great beaches, and if we're talking summer, and I'm thinking of where I'm going, Carolina doesn't seem too bad.
Are the Carolina Hurricanes in North or South Carolina?
North.
Okay.
They are in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay.
Ooh, I got my candle lit.
That was my guess as well, but your confidence just settled it for me, so thank you. And I'm really happy that you're going to have some of that nice, what was it, margarita scent?
A nice
wafting
margarita scent, yeah.
Wafting through your recording room now.
It's very nice. Yeah, no, it is, and Carolina is a great place. I've been to that, to one corner, but to me, Carolina is no more for NASCAR than it is for hockey.
Okay, so let's put California 6, 7, 8.
Okay. No, I'm fine. Carolina gets in there. Okay, Carolina's 8. I can get behind that.
But I already talked myself out of it.
But you talked me into it.
Okay. Carolina at 8.
So here's my rankings of the California teams. San Jose is number 1. The Kings are number 2. And the Ducks are number 3.
I agree with you, but I want to know your rationale.
Okay, so again, because I'm putting all the California teams together, I have to put the LA teams together. And the Ducks, they're LA, but they try not to be LA. And just own that. Own the fact that you're LA. The LA, they did it in baseball. Anaheim changed their name to the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. So we could become the Los Angeles Ducks of Anaheim. Just do that, okay? But add the mighty Los Angeles Ducks of Anaheim, please. Thank you. And the Ducks are stealing all of the potential greatness of us having mighty Duck themed nights. Just embrace your history. Don't try to be Ducks. There's nothing that makes Ducks a really great name outside of the mighty Ducks. So just own that. Those are all the reasons why they're last.
I totally agree. And if any of you out there want a treat, don't pause the podcast because I don't think you'll come back. When this is over, go to YouTube and look up the Mighty Ducks' very first game and how they introduced the team. Have you seen this, Carl?
No.
Disney was the owner of the team. They started the team, and the whole intro on the ice had Disney on ice. It was beautifully cheesy in only the way Disney in the 90s could be. That's
amazing.
And it's totally worth watching. But yes, they robbed us of all of that. So yes, I agree with you. Anaheim is the last.
And San Jose It's just a little bit. If I'm thinking of summer vacation places, I'd rather be in San Jose and the Bay Area than I would be in LA.
Yeah, I mean, I think LA as a hockey market has some redeeming qualities. It started by bringing Gretzky there. Big splash in the NHL. And even though they didn't win a cup with him, the fact that they went out and got him, I can respect. And then they did find their success in later years. So, as a hockey market, I think they have some redeeming qualities. As a city, I don't know how many people from Los Angeles listen to us. I've been to LA, and personally, the city didn't do much for me.
Well, then there you go, Nick. They're number 7. Welcome to number 6, San Jose. No, the Kings. The Ducks are Anaheim is 7. The Kings are 6, and San Jose is number 5. There we go.
One of these weeks, you'll get a hold of the counting.
It's counting backwards from 10, Nick. This isn't a sobriety test here. Okay, it's a podcast.
Clearly.
And for the record, this is just tea in this mug.
Okay, I was gonna ask. Okay, so that's California.
So left, and I'm not gonna mess this up this time. Left, we have 4 teams: Vegas, Florida, Tampa, and Nashville. You've been to multiple of these locations, have you not?
I've been to 3 of these 4 places. Do you want to guess the one place I haven't been? Because I think it's probably surprising.
Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I must have told you that before.
No, it's because that's the only one I've been to out of these 4 locations left.
Oh, okay. Every time I tell people I've never been to Vegas, they're like, "What? You've never been to Vegas? You gotta go. Everyone's gotta go to Vegas." Anyways, I've never been.
I mean, I've been twice.
Did you like it?
I enjoy it, and I like the restaurants. Good food there.
Are you a gambler or a card player or anything?
No, I'll do very little of that. Shows, just kind of walk around. You can do Vegas and never gamble, never really go to the party scene and still have a very, very good time. There's great hikes in the area. Hoover Dam's not too far. So there's lots of things that you can do. So
I like all that stuff. I'm not much of a gambler, which is why I've always kind of had it lower down on my list of places to go to.
But I did New Year's in Vegas one year. That was the thing.
Yeah, that sounds wild.
It was 300,000 people on the Strip.
Okay, now in the context of our world now, just think about that for a minute.
We are not allowed to have more than 15 people together, and there was 20,000 of those 15 people groups on the Strip in Vegas.
God, insane. So crazy. Okay, number 4 then. Where's your head at here?
Nashville is probably at the top of my places I haven't been to list that I want to visit. But I feel like it's got to go in number 4 here.
Really?
I just feel the beaches, the sun, the warmth. If we're talking summer, Florida's got Nashville beat. Because summer in Nashville, it's getting hot. It's getting real hot. And you can't just go to the beach like you can in Florida.
No, that is very true. You can't do that in Nashville. Nashville is such a cool, fun city to go to, but it's getting borderline cliche now to go to Nashville. And then on the hockey side, the team is they're constantly good and competitive, but they cycle out, I find, so much that I'm like, guys, what are we doing here? Are we trying to win it all? But I had such a blast in Nashville. I wouldn't have put them as low as 4, but you could talk me into it.
Who would you be going as for? Because my next guess was Florida.
That's where I was going. I was going Florida. The Panthers, I find, are very funny as a hockey organization.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're technically in Sunrise, Florida, which is in this big empty highway-ish area across the street from a giant mall. But Fort Lauderdale, which I guess is the city that's closest, is very touristy. Nice beaches. I mean, if you like beaches, it's a good spot for beaches. But I'd slide Florida in there at number 4.
You know what? I was not thinking enough about the hockey market and like the hockey organization bringing down this ranking. I'm with you. Florida in F4.
Slide Florida in at 4. Nashville at 3.
Nashville at 3, which brings us to Vegas and Tampa. Almost. I mean, what most of us had is our Stanley Cup finals this year.
Yeah.
We've got them in the finals for the first top 10 list. Who do you have?
This is going to be tough, Carl, because from a hockey organization standpoint, they're both at the top.
I mean, Tampa's defending champs, but they're both great.
They're both great. So this is going to come down to city. And I've never been to Vegas and you've never been to Tampa.
Okay. Give me the best thing about Tampa.
I would just say I really like how they're right on the bay. I've never been to the beaches in Tampa, but they're right on the bay. And what I really liked about going to the hockey game is they have an awesome area, and it's right on the water where you can kind of congregate before the games and you can watch them on the screen. And they've very much become a hockey city in kind of an area of the country where there's no right being that big of a hockey city.
Yeah. And
so that's what I would say. And also they have a neighborhood called Ybor City, which is Cigar City, and they just have chickens running around the street, which was awesome.
I don't
just
know.
Throw that out there.
I don't know if that's a thing in Vegas. I'm not aware of that. But here's the thing. So what you describe as right off the bay, they've got that area where you can congregate. There's one of those in Vegas too. It's called the Strip. And so there's this whole area where you can just hang out beforehand. And actually at the arena, there is a huge place. They have before, I believe every game, there's a pregame concert or something. They've got a huge stage set up there outside the stadium.
Did you go to a game in Tampa?
In
Vegas?
When we went for New Year's, I made our entire group go a day early because the Avalanche were playing in Vegas.
So that's so perfect.
So last year, I saw the Avalanche play in 3 cities, none of which were Denver. So yet to see them in Denver, but did go to a game in Vegas, and the game experience in Vegas is unbeatable. You cannot get a better in-game experience. Again, a fan base that shouldn't be a hockey market, but they are sold on the nights. And I have never been to a regular season game where fans cared as much as they did for that. So, I mean, hockey-wise, amazing. Extra, I mean, you've got all the hotels, you've got all the food, you've got all the things. There's just so many different things happening there. That's my case for Vegas.
I mean, I got to be honest with you, Carl. I don't even think this is a competition. I think Vegas is far and away number 1 on this list.
All right, there we go. Vegas. Welcome to number 1. That was a solid showing by Tampa, coming in as the number 2 summer city in the National Hockey League.
All year summer. Wouldn't that be nice, Carl?
All year summer city. It was minus 10 degrees Celsius here last weekend, Nick. I would kill for all year summer.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
To see snow all over the country.
I know. It is. It's here, and yet hockey is not. It is 2020, right?
Very weird.
But anyways, that's our new segment. We're gonna have maybe by next year. I'm gonna practice this week counting backwards from 10. Okay, I'm gonna practice. I'm gonna do that. And then we're gonna come up with something new next week, and I'm excited for it.
I'm excited for it too. I think this has the potential to be fun. And please, listeners, send us what you want us to list for you.
Yeah, I mean, we have a list of like already 5 or 6 ideas of our own. So I mean, if you're like, just, we're not going to do your job for you, but if there's something that you want us to talk about, please do. You can send that to us on Twitter at Fourth Line Podcast. You could email it, mail@thefourthlinepodcast.com. You could hit us up on the facebook.com/the Fourth Line Podcast, or head to the fourthlinepodcast.com where you can find all of that. You can find the aforementioned article by Mike Laybourne where he talks about Lake Louise as the best idea for the NHL to kickstart the season. You can find us on all your podcasting locations as well as the Full Press Radio app. We will be back next week where we will really be showing Jamie Benn how it's done, putting in work in the offseason.
Time for us to wrap up another Fourth Line show. I know what you're thinking. You don't want us to go. All the teams on our list have never seen snow, but they'll have many players on the Arbitrashow. Arbitrashow.